I don't know about you, but I love this first week of January. I'm back into such a good routine. Prayer, working out, homeschooling Peter. I've made time for meal planning, and more importantly, I've made those meals. We did our Epiphany house blessing this past Sunday. It was so beautiful. It's one of my favorite days of the year. We pray for protection around our home and ask those three wise men to guard and protect our home throughout the year. I've also, so far so good, have stayed faithful to my social media plan that I made at the end of December. On Mondays, I release a blog. Tuesday, we release our podcast. Wednesdays, my newsletter. And Thursdays, a YouTube episode. It feels so good to diversify and do longer form content. Finding Philathea started as a blog, and I love writing long form content. And just to return to those long blog posts I love so much, I want Finding Philathea to be a resource, findingphilathea.com to be a resource for you for any etiquette questions. I'll be filling it with book lists and different faith topics, virtues, especially how I tie in virtue and etiquette together. So I really want to do a series on virtues too. And let me know if there's any other topic you would like me to cover. And here on YouTube, these episodes, I love this long form too. I really love the pace here on YouTube, which is just more conversational, which I enjoy. Here is today's outfit. I love this dress. It's a long sleeve dress, these boots, and a little pearl cardigan. It's beautiful out in Dallas. The mornings start a little cooler, but it definitely warms up throughout the day. Peter had his piano lessons today, and this is what I wore. For this episode, I recruited my husband, Mike, to talk about manners within marriage. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about when we are close to someone, especially our spouse who we are closest with. That familiarity can let us let our guard down, which is beautiful and should happen. However, it's not an excuse for us to be unkind to our spouse or not practice manners with our spouse. Practicing good etiquette within a marriage looks like respectful disagreements, our tone of voice, speaking well about our spouse in public areas, how we apologize to one another, as well as practicing those basic etiquette guidelines. Please, thank you, those basic manners, holding the door open for your spouse. It's outdoing one another in love. Marriage truly refines our character, as does etiquette. It's becoming more and more our true self. We should always be striving to better ourselves. We should always be striving to love the other person by saying, please, thank you, opening the door for them, pulling out their chair for them, helping them. Etiquette has helped me look outward in a profound way. It's really taken me outside myself. And maybe for your entire marriage, you haven't practiced manners with your spouse, so it may seem odd, but that doesn't mean that it's not your true self, because we are created in God's image and likeness. And to go back to that, to go back to our true self, which is striving to cultivate that goodness in our heart and to look outward and to truly be yourself, your full personality, who you are. And we can always incorporate manners into that and kindness into that, virtue into that. I brought Mike on to talk about practicing. Sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to say it.
It's good. This is perfect. Practicing good manners with your spouse. This is a topic I am so passionate about with my background in etiquette. As an etiquette instructor, manners are about how we make others feel and showing them respect, their dignity, and this is so important, especially with the people you love the most. I think often familiarity, there's a beauty in it that we feel more comfortable with that person and let our guard down. However, that should never stop us from practicing good manners with our spouse.
Yes, we always want to keep the dignity of the person at the forefront of our minds. So it's how we interact, how we speak, our tone of voice. There's so much that goes into it. The one that I'm thinking of is from By Love Refined, where Alice von Hildebrand is remembering Dietrich von Hildebrand after he's passed and all the times that she interrupted him, and she feels so sorry for that, thinking that I just wish I could hear his voice again. And so that one's always stuck with me.
Definitely. She's like, there's not one symphony that's more beautiful than your spouse's voice, and how she longed to hear that voice again and regretted all the time she had interrupted him or finished his thought. And that is something I was and still am often guilty of. If Mike is taking some time to express something, I want to finish the thought for him. And so there is always room for growth. Whenever there's a relationship, as the two of you grow, we've been married for 10 years. In relationships, you grow, there's always more room for growth. That growth is endless, which is so exciting too. The growth of the human heart and the size of the human heart, the capacity of love is endless, which is exciting, but that means there's always room for that growth.
Originally, when I stopped going to school in my graduate work, I'm like, I'm done learning. That's it. I'm done. Now I can start life. For a few years, I lost like a little flavor in the sense, because it was like I wasn't really challenging myself to learn, having that posture of humility, even to know that there's things I need to work on, there's things I need to grow in, but taking it as an opportunity to learn is really good.
It's exciting, and to learn about your spouse too. And a beautiful way to do that is through manners. At the most basic level, this is please and thank you. Something, as I was writing notes for this and I was writing these basic manners, something so beautiful is that our son Peter corrects me and encourages me, and he does it so sweetly, so discreetly, but if I don't say please, especially when asking Mike something, he gives me a look, he's like, please, and it's so beautiful. But with that, it's taught me how important it is as spouses, and especially if you're a parent, that the way we treat one another is the school of etiquette for your children, how they will interact 100%. With themselves, with others. This is the first school, is our love for one another, and how we express that love, which is through manners. So at the most basic level, this is please, thank you. What else can you think of? Opening the car door for me.
Bring you food first before diving in. Just respecting your time and time that you may need on your own.
Something else that I love that Mike has taught Peter to do is they come out and help me bring in groceries. Whenever I go grocery shopping, I love when they're standing out there waiting, because they've tracked me on the phone and they're ready to help. And it means so much. I think it's just looking for ways to love that person and to show patience. Patience is huge in family life, and to really show that gentleness with other people's time and the way that they move in their own pace. Another thing is tone of voice.
Speak charitably. This is something that I definitely need to work on.
I do too. So, we both. Tone of voice is so important, and it could make or break. You could say the same sentence. We all know this. We've experienced it. The same sentence. It's the way we say it. Something that really brought this to the forefront for me was when we went recently to get ice cream. It's called
Howdy Handmade.
Handmade. It is completely run by special needs men and women. And as we were talking to one of the employees, he kept bringing up some things that people have said to him. He was in a place where he saw the beauty and could correct it, but those words stuck with him from decades ago. I know that's because of his purity of heart. I think the pure of heart you are, and especially all of us, once when we were children, just so pure of heart, we felt that tone of voice, whether it was family members or teachers or just the harshness of the world, and different tones of voice or what was said to us affected us and chipped away at our own hearts. But walking into that ice cream shop, which was complete pure of heart, I was reminded again how important it is, the words we say to others and how we say it, our tone.
And on the other side, sometimes it's what you don't say. It's being an active listener, keeping an open ear, being truly active in your listening and being present, not scrolling on your phone, not looking away when they're expressing their concerns or their needs. It's so important to share that, and that's another way to love.
It makes me think of that viral TikTok videos that are going, the Gottman bird theory. Gottman is a researcher. I'll link him below. His website has really great things on it, but he has the theory that it forbids of attention. And so there's this viral videos going around that you say the most basic, ordinary thing, like the bird. Yesterday I saw a beautiful bird, and that's a bid for attention. And I remember reading or hearing recently that the lower response to those bids of attention, especially from your spouse, has a more likelihood for divorce or separation, the less we respond to those bids of attention. So all day we're bidding for one another's attention, whether it's the things we say and how we respond, especially those most basic things. It says a lot. So there's that basic level of manners that we should be practicing with everyone around us, but in particular with your spouse. And maybe this new year, have that as a goal, like one basic manners, whether it's taking out the garbage for them without asking, or helping them with groceries, standing at the front door, ready to help. That means so much. But also the pleases and thank yous. Pick one as a goal for this month or this whole year. But another thing we wanted to touch upon with manners with your spouse is how you speak about them in a public setting or with friends outside of the home.
Right. I mean, immediately coming to mind is like Jane Austen, like the gentleman of that era, where it's like they'd be mortified to say anything improper about any woman, let alone...
Unless you're Wickham.
Well, yeah. The W guys, right? They'd be mortified to say something wrong about any woman. Having that sense of being a gentleman, but it's for both men and women. It's speaking well about your spouse in public, not bringing things into the public sphere that shouldn't be there.
Two thoughts with this is, yes, it's important to have close people if you are going through something. We aren't saying don't share anything about your spouse. No, be prudent with what you say. And there's a difference between constantly just complaining about your spouse to your friends, or like putting down your spouse, or my husband never does this. There's that, which is wrong, versus asking friends for help, their advice. We're going through this, asking them to be discreet, to setting the conversation tone. Please don't repeat this. However, I would love your advice with XYZ, or I would love your listening ear, or do you know anyone who could help with this situation? Second thing is to communicate with your spouse about boundaries of what you should and shouldn't share, and what is tender to their heart that you don't want shared, or tender to your own heart that you don't want shared. Whatever it is, what topics still we want to keep and should keep for one another.
As marriage is a sacrament, we're set apart for each other, and that also brings certain things that are only for us, tender to our hearts. And so those things should stay in that space.
Something with manners in general, but specifically with your spouse, that is important, is to keep a lightheartedness about it too. That can mean, yes, giving one another the benefit of the doubt, but also just a joy and a lightheartedness, and not taking life too seriously. Yes, it is serious. I don't mean it that way, but we make mistakes, and we'll continue to make mistakes, and to be ready to apologize, be ready to laugh, be ready to move on and move forward. That is part of putting someone at ease. That's a part of manners, making someone comfortable. Don't let things build up, especially in marriage. If things need to be addressed, address them. I don't mean that, but little things you need to laugh about. You really do.
I have two thoughts on this one. When we did our Advent praying together in the mornings, there were definitely some times where we were like too tired, or just waking up and fumbling over the words, or croaking out a song and just kind of laughing. Set the tone for Advent. Advent was such a blessed, joyful time this year. I felt more able to joke with you throughout the day, and just more in tune with you through that prayer, but also that joyful joking and teasing and lightheartedness.
That's it. Very true.
And I do like what you said about putting at ease. I remember reading in one of the books, putting people at ease, and how that's just the heart of etiquette, really, is putting someone at ease, anticipating their needs. It's all the more important in marriage, because it should be a place of safety, a place of rest, a little Eden in the sense. And so if there's something contrary to that, where you're always feeling like you're stepping on eggshells, those things certainly need to be addressed, so that you can continue to put each other at ease and feel at ease in your house and your marriage.
I love that. Any final thoughts with this, manners in marriage?
Be ready to say sorry when you need to. Just
be ready to forgive your spouse, yourself, and that lightheartedness, that compassion. I love that, the thought of a little Eden. It's our goal here. But manners are a beautiful thing. It's so exciting to grow in them too. Etiquette is a pathway to grow in virtue, and we see that so beautifully with manners between a husband and wife. Let me know your thoughts about practicing manners and etiquette with your spouse. Does it come naturally to you? Does your husband or wife do this already? Do they practice etiquette and good manners? Are you a lady and a gentleman within your home? I would love to hear your thoughts. Or does it come a little unnatural to you and you feel like you have to practice and make a habit of these things? I would love to hear.